Oh my god! Ladies and gentlemen, what is this? What the heck is this? Wow, isn't that absolutely brilliant and amazing? Oh yeah, take it all in. My name is Bart Coppens, and I'm an online entomologist who studies butterflies and moths. And I also have a YouTube channel about these wonderful insects. And here I am standing with a beautiful species from the island and country of Madagascar. Yes, in Africa. Now, I don't know if you guys know a lot about Madagascar, but Madagascar is famous for having very strange, endemic animals and plants. And here is one of such animals. This is called the Madagascar Bullseye Silkmoth. And these silk moths are endemic to Madagascar. Now, if you want to know more about them and how to raise them in captivity, I'm going to tell you this in this YouTube video, if you are curious. Today I'm going to show you the life cycle of Antherina suraka. I'm going to tell you about their biology, what makes them special, and how you can raise them yourself if you are interested. It's a very easy species to raise for hobbyists who are interested in learning more about insects. They're very gorgeous, very adorable. They have many color forms and varieties. And today you're watching an episode of what I call MothCycles. You see, MothCycles is my online web series in which I show the life cycle from moths, from egg to fully grown moth, showing you the complete life cycle and a breeding tutorial. And today we're going to talk about Antherina suraka, the Madagascar Bullseye Silkmoth. Welcome to MothCycles. Let's start the intro. Boom. today I am going to raise a classic, easy to breed beginner species from the island of Madagascar. You know, that weird crazy island with cool animals next to Africa. So this is a petri dish and here are the eggs. If you keep the eggs for 2 weeks on room temperature around 20 degrees Celsius, then you'll expect to see tiny little caterpillars soon. And if we zoom in further, we have to zoom a lot because they are so small. Look at how small these are, yeah. Ridiculously small. It's very hard to show you, isn't it? Because they are just too small. But these are the babies, they're already hatching. And that means we have to transfer them into their new home. Here on the lid we see some of them also. In captivity, this species can eat a lot of plants, including oleander. Yeah, that's right, this species can eat toxic oleander. But they can also eat cherry. I believe they can eat willow. But I'm going to use privet or ligustrum. But you don't have to use the same plants as me. People get really creative with this species. So here I have the baby caterpillars. As you can see, they are just so incredibly small. It's hard to give you any good footage of this, guys, due to the technological limitations here. Like, this is just so stupidly small. It's just, oh my god, so small. My first tip is don't use your fingers to touch the caterpillars if you are a beginner. You could end up crushing them. Okay, your fingers are very strong and the caterpillars are very small, so use a paintbrush to scoop them up. And I place them here on the leaf. And hopefully they will smell the food plant, they will taste it and start eating once they feel comfortable. Now, one tip is keep this species warm, guys. They like extra heat. They don't have to be stupidly hot. But it is a tropical species, yeah. They're from Madagascar, it's a warm place. So, you guys, I recommend like 22, 23, 24, 25 degrees Celsius. Something like that. There you go. They don't have to be super wet. They just want to have fresh leaves. As you can see, I added some paper towels on the bottom of the container to absorb the excess moisture that the plant is going to release. So also help me keep it clean. Just have to replace the paper towel to keep it sanitary. So here you go. Just adding the babies. And the next thing that we do, if we have added all of them, oh, there's one more baby. That's right. Once we finish doing this and we are confident that all the babies are in here, put the lid on it and just ignore them for a day. Don't micromanage them, don't stress them. The only thing I'm going to do is add more caterpillars if they are born. Otherwise, I'm totally gonna leave them alone and check back maybe in 1 or 2 days, and they should have started eating by then. And then, of course, we check back a few days later. Alright people, let's see how the babies are doing. A few days later, let's see how they are doing. They should be the Instar number 2 maybe. Alright, so this is the first Instar, or the first life stage of Antherina suraka. The caterpillar should have about 5 life stages in total. The first instars prefer a more humid environment and most importantly a supply of fresh leaves. Important is to have above average, but not extreme humidity. The boxes that I am rearing them in are airtight and capture the moisture of the leaves. But the layer of paper towels also absorbs the excess moisture, keeping it humid but not wet. When they are young, expect the babies to live in groups. Keep them clean. Replace old leaves with fresh ones every 2 to 3 days and change the paper towels. A few days later, we check back. The Madagascar Bullseye moth is a species every breeder should raise once in their life. They are fantastic creatures with hypnotic eye spots, but we'll get to that later. We gotta turn them into moths first. Let's see how our babies are doing. Food has gone stale and dry, but that's fine because I'm gonna give them new food today. So let's zoom in on these babies. Ah yeah. Come on, camera. Do a close-up. Why are you so unsharp? Ah, there you go. Finally a close-up. So, this must be... I think it's already Instar number 3. Third life stage. Whoop. Pretty cool. So here you can see what the bullseye moths look like in the third life stage. Now guys, I am thinking about upgrading their enclosure really. This is a bit too small. And the food keeps drying out, which is quite annoying. So I have something new for them. And that something is called a big container. I'm gonna put it on its side though, just like this. Put in some paper towels right here. Then I have a whole big fat branch of juicy privet leaves, which they will no doubt appreciate to its fullest. And now I'm going to take my baby little caterpillars here and place the baby caterpillars here in the privet bush. Yeah, just gonna take some of these dry old branches because there's caterpillars in it, and I'm going to place it in here, and they will walk over to the fresh food in no time. These are already the second life stage. We are making progress. It looks similar to the first life space stage, but the spines on their body are more pronounced and the larvae are bigger and pitch black. So, let's skip time to a few days later. And then, of course, we check back a few days later. Alright guys, Antherina suraka, the Madagascar Bullseye moth update. This is a very beginner-friendly species, so this should not be a major challenge for me. If I can give you one advice is, the caterpillars don't seem to be picky about temperature. You can rear them in a cold environment or a warm environment. Room temperature really usually works well, but they do care about humidity. Because the advice I would like to give is don't completely expose the caterpillars to indoor conditions. Because indoor our houses can be very dry. So if you just rear them in an open cage, the caterpillars can dry out and die and get sick. But they also don't want to be in a completely closed plastic box. The conditions in there are too stuffy for them, too humid, and it will grow diseases. And that's the most important thing. You need to find the balance between having ventilation, but also not having them completely out in the open. So I just punch a hole through this, but this works well. This works well. Actually, don't punch a hole through it, it's dangerous. This stuff is sharp. I recommend that you cut it with a knife. But you get the point. This is airflow. See, this netting prevents them from escaping, but air is flowing through this. At the same time, the plastic box captures some of the humidity. So we're gonna see now how they are doing in this moment. So here we go. Here we have the caterpillars, I'll show you. So you can see the caterpillars are growing slow and steady. Privet is really good enough for them. Ligustrum is a good plant. If we gently zoom in, we see that most of them are black with orange spikes, and I think that right now my caterpillars are It's a mix of life stage number 3, Instar 3 and Instar 2. They are currently molting from life stage 2 to 3. Now if they don't look impressive now, don't worry, they will be. These caterpillars are actually some of the most colorful that are available in the hobby. But it's always the early life stages when they are babies that they're not super pretty. Don't get me wrong, I think that they are pretty enough. But it's just for the viewers who expect to see big colorful stuff, just wait for it, okay? Just wait. They have to grow a little bit, yeah? It takes effort and time. But now we can see all the life stages. So yeah, first they are just black with these brown oranges warts on their body. Let's carefully examine the vegetation. Note carefully. This is the third life stage. It doesn't look like much yet, but trust me, these will be enormous moths in just a few months' time. At least they have hope for the future and the hope to change. Unless certain YouTubers that are stuck in their basement making video after video about subjects that no one cares about. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, this one is starting to be a bit colorful though. You see it? Alright guys, what do you think? Are they growing well? I think so. To me it looks like they're growing quite well. Not bad. Trust me on this guys, this video is gonna be worth it, okay? I promise you. These caterpillars are some of the most pretty that you can get in captivity. People aren't very excited about them because they're a beginner species and they're common. But they are really underrated in my opinion. The Bullseye Silkmoth is a really gorgeous species that everybody should raise. And then of course we check back a few days later. Guys, I want to say I don't raise my insects outdoors, but I'm always filming them outdoors because my house indoors has terrible indoor lighting, right? At the first glance you can see the many caterpillars in the vegetation, can't you? Let's zoom in on some random ones. Here is one. Here are a few others. Let me move the camera slowly but steady so you don't get motion sickness. Here's some more of them. Yeah, they kind of spread out. But not bad, right? We can see them hidden here all over the vegetation. Here at my fingertip, behind the leaf, there's another one. It's not bad. We have a decent number of them that are growing, I think. Yeah, that's good. That's promising. They're just small, we have to wait. Wow, that's so cool. We have many of them finally. And these are starting to become way more colorful. Excellent. Well, that's it for now. They're growing well in this setup. Oop. There we go. So we're gonna leave them in it, right? It's the best thing to do. There you go. Strange broken container, but it works. And I'm gonna bring them back inside, of course. And then, of course, we check back a few days later. It's been about 5 days since I last checked them. But how fast they are growing is terrifying at this point. Terrifying, terrifying. So I'm gonna take out some of the privet. Oh my god. Don't worry, I'll show you some close-ups in a minute. It's terrifying. Woo. Alright guys. So it looks like my caterpillars this time are a really dark form. They're very black. As I said before, this is completely random. They can be completely green as well. And as you can see, each of them are really marked differently. This one is more yellow. Black with yellow spines. These are just 2 larvae. This one is more black with reddish orange spines and some green yellowish markings on its side. Very fascinating. Here's one of the plants I'm rearing them on. This is not even all the caterpillars. I have more in the background just to prove it. Here's another can with more caterpillars. But let's examine these first. Let's have a closer look. Gonna need some zoom. Alright. So these caterpillars are becoming, how to do this carefully. They're becoming really pretty, really gorgeous, as you can see. Antherina suraka is a beginner species. Everybody can raise them as their first moth if you follow my instructions. But they're really fun and beautiful and underrated in my opinion. And I just want to emphasize how unique all of the caterpillars are. Here's another caterpillar. This one is actually a rather large one, isn't it? This is a big caterpillar. Oops. This is so awkward to film. Yeah, here's one of the bigger ones. Just look at these crazy colors. Awesome. I think this is Instar 4. I think so. I think they have one more life stage after this. But look at how fantastic and beautiful it is though. Wow. Wow. Just look at this one right here. This species is gorgeous. Really gorgeous. It's been a while since I raised them, but I'm actually getting quite excited now. I forgot how beautiful this species is. Their color is just so funky. It's like reminds me of a disco. Wow. A beautiful insect that's going to grow into one beautiful moth. I think people, they are not impressed by Antherina suraka sometimes because they are a very common species in the hobby. Very widely available, very widespread, and they are cheap, easy to breed and a beginner species, but at the same time I don't like this whole culture of beginner species, like you're not too good of a breeder to raise a beginner species. No, they are very impressive, they're awesome. Alright, just for funsies, I put several caterpillars on my hand. Now, caterpillars, just to show you guys the differences, here are a few caterpillars on my hand, just a few of them. Disclaimer, handling them is never really a good idea. Caterpillars hate being handled and it can make them sick. I'm doing it for educational purposes, just to show some color differences. This is a really pretty one, isn't it? This one has a lot of green and it's about to shed its skin to the 5th instar soon. But look at how much green color this one has. It's much greener than the rest. Wow, so beautiful, wow. Now if we take a look here at my hand, you see some of them that are just kind of yellow and black. This one has more green. They are really nice caterpillars. As I've said, this species is usually not really a challenge, but that's fine. I like easy species sometimes, you know, when you don't have to stress, when you can just relax. So let's put the lid on. Just give them a little bit more food. Yeah, but that's it. This is going perfectly. Guys, my caterpillars, okay, I raised them indoors. They're in my nice messy room right now. Just to reiterate, because I make a lot of videos outdoors in my garden, yeah, out there. Oh, these are all my butterflies. But that's because of the lighting. As you can see, the lighting here is bad. Everything looks a bit gray. Caterpillars. Caterpillars. They are about 20 degrees Celsius here in spring. So yeah. I don't raise them outdoors or keep them outdoors, that would make no sense. Since these are beginner species, I feel like explaining the basics a bit more. So why rear moths in captivity? Do they really make such interesting pets? Yes! The answer is yes, they do. They are fascinating. That's why you're watching this. Clearly you're interested, so why am I even asking this question? It's like preaching to the choir. I don't know. Maybe because I'm adding useless filler to this video that I shouldn't. Anyway, we check back a few days later. Let's see how the moths are doing. Sadly, today it's a little bit rainy, so I have to make this quick. Because rain is bad for my camera. I don't want it to get soaked. But we have an update and it's about... since the last time we filmed, I think... Yeah, that was about 4 days ago. So 4 days later, there's already a big difference I want to show. Ooh, the container is dirty, I should clean it. And the big difference is this! Some of the caterpillars evolve to their final life stage, 5 out of 5. The next step is spinning cocoons, really. But they are radically different, just look at it. So in this life stage, they've become green, yellowish green kind of. It's in between yellow and green for my eyes. Something in the middle. Maybe a little bit more green than yellow, but definitely a mix of both. With red pinkish spines. It's really quite beautiful though. This is a really awesome and famous species that is known for its beautiful caterpillars. And as you can see, wow, now they are getting really big, aren't they? Their size is becoming really great. Wow! Did you expect that change? It's quite dramatic, isn't it? This is why I love moths. Every life stage feels like something new. And then you have cocoons and moths, but even the caterpillars every time go through radical changes. It's like having several pets for the price of one. It looks like the majority of the caterpillars are still in the life stage number 4, like this black and yellow one. But as we can see, some of them here are starting to change. Here is another one. As you can see, most of the caterpillars are still in the 4th life stage, where they are, well, mine are black in the 4th life stage, as you can see. But if we zoom out, you'll see on the background, you have to be careful so this stuff doesn't fall over. But in the background you'll see Several of them are now the final Instar. This is a final Instar one. Oh, very beautiful. Really beautiful. Oh, this is such a nice species. So let's do some zoom out. Yeah. Life stage 4, 4, 4. Still the classic yellow and black, this one. But all of these are gonna turn green soon. That's when I know they're really fully grown. So yeah. Here in the back is another one. That's the final life stage, Instar 5. Oh, so beautiful, guys. These are so beautiful. They're some of the prettiest caterpillars, to be honest, but people don't go crazy over them, I guess, because it's a common species in the hobby, a common beginner species, so for some people they will lose their magic, but not for me. My appreciation for moths is genuine. I don't care if they're common or easy. Wow, look at that though. This one is a bit more, has more black color. There you go. So let's carefully take a look here. We see a lot of caterpillars, don't we? There's a lot of caterpillars on here. So far there are 5 caterpillars who've grown into the final life stage. This is them. As you can see, one of them is much bigger than the rest. That's probably my biggest caterpillar right now out of the whole group. The biggest and fastest growing one. So yeah, these are all the ones who are turning green, so to speak. Absolutely amazing. Wow, guys. Wow, wow, wow. They are so cool, these caterpillars. I love Antherina suraka. I love this species so much. It's one of my favorites, really. So, just look at it. Wow, those patterns. They're so cool. And they're all a bit different. Can you see the differences in markings? It's very subtle, but there is still a difference. And the rest of the caterpillars, like there's so many. Can you see them? There's so many. I think all of them are alive. We have 0 losses. But yeah, all of these are still the funky, yellowish, blackish form that they will soon grow out of. This was also a beautiful life stage. So one last look at these. Very funky, very cool. But it's time to move on. It's time for you guys to become green. Beautiful. Now those of you who are a big fan of my channel and seen all my videos, you guys probably know that I am a fan of keeping caterpillars in cages and that I am usually not a fan of keeping them in plastic boxes. But it depends per species, you see. There are some species who don't like cages because it can be too dry indoors and they can dry out. And from my experience, Antherina suraka is often one of those species. Now they have outgrown their old box in my opinion. This box is getting too small for them. So I'm upgrading them to an even bigger, look how big this plastic box is. An even bigger enclosure. Yeah, I hope you guys, if you watched other MothCycles episodes, then you've seen that there are so many species that I just raised from egg to moth in these pop-up cages. But for Antherina suraka, I don't know why. I don't really know why, but I've always been more successful with them in enclosures with low ventilation. They do have some ventilation though. I do keep the lid, I make a big hole in it. So here's some of the caterpillars. I'm gonna place them in. So here's some of the old caterpillars still in the branches. I take them off. Yeah, don't worry, indoor is poor lighting. I'm just taking the caterpillars and placing them here in the new house, in the new enclosure where they're going to grow. And hopefully they will make it to cocoons. We are getting very close to being successful. They just have one more life stage to go. After they turn green, the last instar, they will spin cocoons. I'm guessing in about 3 to 3.5 weeks we'll be collecting the first cocoons. So guys, this is the new house, the new home. And of course I'm using the same technique, just bigger. We are using I used a net to cover the box, just like that. Oof, there's a twig stuck in it. Ouch, it has spines, that hurt. So there you go. This time I cut a hole in it a little bit more professionally than the ones that I punched a hole in. So the hole is important, that's what she said, but for real, because too little ventilation is also a bad thing, but too much ventilation is also a bad thing. Like, you don't want them to be completely exposed to indoor temperature, it's too dry. But if there's no ventilation holes, it's also bad because it will be too humid, too moldy. The moisture needs to evaporate, it needs to escape, but not extremely much. It needs to be a little bit humid on the inside. So this is perfect. This is my way of doing it. And I'm not saying this is the only way. The cool thing about moth breeding, my hair is a bit wet because I was outside, it was rainy. The cool thing about moth breeding is that all the breeders have their own techniques. Everybody has their own tricks, their own techniques, you know, their little breeding secrets. And this is how I do it. If there's other ways in which you breed this species, write it in the comments. Maybe you like to use different plants to feed them. Maybe you like to keep them dry, unlike me, who's keeping them humid. That's the magic of it. There isn't only one way to be successful. There are multiple ways to be successful. And this is my way. The cool thing about me is that I don't have breeding secrets. I don't have tricks. Because I share everything I learn for free. I'm not one of those breeders who keeps the tricks to be successful for themselves. I share my recipe for success to everybody who is watching. I have no secrets. I show you everything on YouTube. Anyway, let's wait and check back later. Do you really need me to tell you that it's going to be a few days later? Apparently, yes. That's why I'm here in my beautiful Christmas sweater for some reason. Why am I doing this? Why am I like this? I don't know, I was born this way. Ask my mother. Something must have gone wrong during birth. I'm getting distracted. A few days later, we are rearing the moths. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to check up on our Madagascar Bullseye Silkmoths. Or as I prefer to call them, Antherina suraka. Because I do not like common names at all. However, at first glance, we can give ourselves a little applause. They are doing perfectly well. Oh, this is great. This is fantastic. Let me show you. Oh, that's fantastic. So at the moment, most of our caterpillars are getting kind of huge, even. Would you have a look at that? Oh, wow. And if we turn the camera slowly, here's another larva. Oh my gosh. Guys, this species has such amazing caterpillars. You know, I've taken this species for granted for so long. It's been a while since I've raised it, but I don't regret it. If we turn the camera a bit more, yeah, here's more of them. They like to sit on the underside of the vegetation, like most caterpillars. Let me try to get a good shot on this one. Come on, camera, cooperate with me. Yes, focus. Oh, they are such crazy neon-colored creatures, aren't they? Fantastic. We have a lot of them. Let's zoom out a little bit. Can you guys see how many there are? I think just for the sake of experimentation, I'm gonna take them out. And also so that I can add a little bit of new plant in the back for a second. To replace the paper towel with fresh ones, you know, that are clean. There we go. I do this every 2 to 3 days. It's important to keep them clean. Hygiene is one of the most important things if you want to be a successful moth breeder. So here's some fresh food, completely fresh. There you go. My god, guys, this is a near perfect result. These are some of the fully grown caterpillars, and let's just take a moment to see all the variety that we can spot. So one of the biggest caterpillars, one of the biggest larvae is here in the middle. Can you see her? I'm calling it a her because the biggest ones tend to be females when it comes to moths. Just look at how big and strongly marked this one is. It's absolutely gorgeous. And here in the back we have more caterpillars sitting on my hand. Once again, I don't recommend handling this species, guys. It's not really necessary. This is for entertainment. If you want to be completely safe, consider not handling them. I'm a YouTuber, so showing them off is part of my work. That being said, I disinfect my hands before I touch them. So as you can see, each of them are different. Like, I could give all of these a name and recognize them. Here in the middle we even have one larvae that's in the final life stage, that's almost black, as you can see. You see it? This one here is very dark, very black. So that's just fantastic, what? This one here is really greenish. Look at that, what a beautiful species this is. Wow, wow. And you're watching it unfold on YouTube. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being my audience. It means so much to me to share my passion with somebody so I don't feel all alone. But this is so beautiful, wow. Amazing. And just, yeah, they're all kind of tangled, so I'm not gonna pull them out. But how about this one here on top? Let's appreciate this one. This one here is also kind of green, but more yellowish. And it has like more black, more pigment. I don't know if I could call it melanin. Black pigment is often melanin in nature, but I'm not sure. I don't know how this works chemically. There you go. It's very beautiful, isn't it? Wow, this is an awesome species. Really? I raise a lot of species on YouTube, but the caterpillars of this moth, they just keep surprising me over and over because they are so beautiful. Look at that. So crazy, so big. These two are definitely right now my biggest two caterpillars. Yeah. Really big. Really cool. Precious. Wow. Fantastic. Putting some of them back. We don't want to handle them for too long. They have to feed. Soon I think we will see some cocoons. This one is also kind of special. It looks different than all the rest. It is in the final life stage. As you can see, this one has remained significantly darker than all its brothers and sisters. As you can see. So that's interesting. But you look at that. This one is very dark. I've seen larvae that are almost black all of their life, even in the final life stage. This one is close to it, but I've seen them even blacker. So the cool thing is, if you want to raise this species, it's going to be a total surprise, kind of, what your caterpillars will look like. They have a lot of varieties. Hey, really pretty. We also have some individuals who have struggled to catch up in size. Sadly, these have a smaller chance of making it, but it's not our fault. We have taken care of them perfectly. The truth is, the way nature works is sometimes only the strongest caterpillars will become a moth or butterfly, and the weakest ones, they will die. That sounds very cruel, but that's how nature is. However, sometimes even the small ones, the dwarfs, can catch up eventually. So we're gonna give them a chance. I'm gonna raise them and see what happens. Some of them are not that far behind, but there's also ones like this one is stupidly small. This one may be a very weak one. But we're gonna see. I'm gonna put them with their big brothers and sisters and give them a fair chance at surviving. A few days later, we check back. Ah, that kind of hurts. The ground is frozen. Why is it frozen? I recorded this video in summer. Well, I was lazy. I delayed editing it until winter. It's like freaking concrete. Anyway, let's check back a few days later. Sup moth fans, I have some fresh food for the Madagascar Bullseyes. Pretty sure they're gonna appreciate it. The frequency at which I am replacing the food is rapidly increasing because they are starting to eat so much and starting to grow so fast. Let's take all of this out for a second just to clean the container. Oh my god, they did so much poop. And the poop, it's gross, but I'm still gonna show you. And I just throw it in my garden. It doesn't smell. Actually, moths are pretty odorless pets. They don't make noises, sounds, smells, anything. And it's a great fertilizer for the grass. Believe it or not. Some people watching may think I'm crazy, but it's actually true. Look it up. It's one of the best fertilizers. Putting in some new paper. Putting in some new fresh food. You guys know how this works. I feel like I don't have to waste too much words on this process. We understand how it works now. So, the caterpillars. My gosh, my gosh. We have an incredibly large amount of caterpillars, an insane amount, and they're doing really well. And I just really want to show you how they're doing. This is insane. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Oh my gosh. That's fantastic. I'm going to show you in this video. I'll satisfy your curiosity. Truly some of the prettiest caterpillars I have seen in a long time. And I think they're actually pretty close to pupating, spinning cocoons, which is great, is what we want, right? So here's the fresh food. They have a new setup, a new container. So I'm gonna place them back. Let's do it carefully, don't drop them on the floor. Just place them gently here in the quote-unquote bushes, on the vegetation. And they will start walking around and eating the leaves. Even all the caterpillars, we have more of them, but I didn't want to disturb all of them at the same time. Especially the ones who are molting or shedding their skin. As you can see here in the vegetation, we have some smaller ones. Here's one of the really small ones. But it looks like these are in the process of shedding their skins, so I didn't want to handle them for a YouTube video, because it can... You don't want to stress them when they're about to shed their skin, you know, that's harmful. And here's the one that's still black and yellow. This one does seem to be in the final life stage. Anyway, to my point, this is not even all the caterpillars. There's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, we have about 20 caterpillars, I think, which is... It's not a crazy amount, but it's acceptable, you know, I don't need more than that. The thing is, if you raise too much moths, it becomes a lot of work and it stops being fun. But the survival rate so far has been great, so I'm happy. I'm satisfied. Once again, let's close the container. Where did I put the materials? Again, it's the net. Whoop, just like that. And then the container with the ventilation hole. Yep. Great. It's becoming routine. But we're really nearly finished. Except for some small caterpillars who are lagging behind. I have the hiccups. I said it in the last intermission, but I'm making these a few days later segments in winter. Well, I made the video in summer, it makes no sense. Anyway, don't lose your sense of time and order and justice and morality. Otherwise you become just one of those other dejected little YouTubers like me, you know? Well, guys, today I have a little bit of an update. Yeah, I'm in my garden again, sitting in the grass. My neighbors must think that I'm crazy. But they're used to it. So, what's the update? Well, I think you can all guess. Let me just take the cam. So, what do we have here? Let's remove some of the old branches here. Well, clearly the situation is mostly the same. A lot of caterpillars, you know, feeding on the leaves as usual. Yeah, they are really pretty, but we've shown them before. Like, this is old news, right? So this is old news. Still gonna show you some of them, you know, just because they are that beautiful. Wow, these caterpillars are really beautiful, guys. They really are. I really enjoy this species from time to time. Please breed them if you haven't. You're really missing out if you never raised them before. Anyway, I noticed some strangely shaped paper here in the back. Can you guys guess what this is right here? Here's a little hint. There's some silk sticking out. That's right, this is a cocoon. I think they cocoon and leaf litter in the wild, because when this species cocoons in captivity, they often crawl down to the bottom of the container and they use leaf or debris to make their cocoons. So this really weird ball of paper is actually a silk cocoon here on the inside. Can you see that? So this is the first cocoon officially. You can even peel away some of the paper and reveal the silk it has spun. So that's cool. That's interesting and nice. So this is officially the first cocoon. It's gonna turn into a moth. I'm gonna keep it apart. I'll show you what I do with it later. So I'm curious, are there more cocoons or do we just have one? I carefully have to do a little inspection here. I think we just have one cocoon so far. The rest of the caterpillars are really big right now. But we only have one cocoon so far. That being said, I think they are really nearly ready for their transformation. Like, if you look at their size, this is about the final their final size, their maximum size. They don't really get bigger than this. So these buddies, they should soon make more cocoons. Soon. But so far we have just one cocoon and that's fine. We're not in a rush and it's gonna happen eventually. So that's great, right? Anyway, Yeah, I took it out. I took out the privet. So. That's it. Small update, but significant in my opinion. That's it. Small update, but significant in my opinion. Because this is what we've been working towards, right? Having cocoons. Yep. And looks like we've accomplished that goal. Now we just wait for more. That's all we do. We wait for more. A few days later, we check back. Now guys, I have a little secret for you, but before the caterpillars of this species spin a cocoon, they turn blue. Don't believe me? Let me show you. So these are 3 caterpillars of Antherina suraka. Here in the back we have the black form that I showed you earlier and the green one. But what's happening with this one? What? Take a look at those colors. Don't you guys think that is insane? I do. So what's happening here now? So this blue caterpillar is about to make a cocoon. It's going to pupate. And before this species cocoons, the larvae become blue. That is so trippy, isn't it? I did not mention this before in the video because I wanted to keep this as a surprise for my viewers, just to shock them. But 24 hours before these caterpillars make a cocoon, they literally turn blue. Well, sometimes they do. It doesn't always seem to happen, but in a lot of cases it does, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It is absolutely trippy, guys. Have you just seen this? Like, this color is so insane. It feels like I'm at a rave. It's very psychedelic, isn't it? Just take a moment to appreciate this. Not many times in my life have I seen caterpillars who have blue. That's so weird, isn't it? Like, wow, this species is really underrated. They are absolutely beautiful. Wow, guys. It may be one of the most pretty caterpillars on my channel. Despite the fact that, yeah, they are common in the hobby. They are easy to raise, but that's only positive. That's only a good thing. That's what we want. It doesn't always have to be exclusive and rare. Like, look at this. This is gorgeous. This is undescribably beautiful. Wow, 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 wow. Don't you really love this? I do. It blows my mind. It's so beautiful. In case you were ever wondering, why the hell am I subscribed on YouTube to this weird moth guy who's just posting moths all day? Hopefully this is why. This is why, my friends. Who else is out there showing you all these shapes and colors on YouTube? The forgotten colors of nature, the forgotten variety of nature. Wow. And this species just needs a lot of appreciation. They are so beautiful before they pupate. Probably, as you can see, it's already making strings of silk. Can you see it? These white golden hairs is silk. So the larvae is really starting to become in the mood for making a cocoon. It's called prepupal coloration. A lot of caterpillars completely change color before they spin a cocoon for various reasons. Wow. I'm so happy to see this. It's so cool. It's so trippy. It's like, it belongs in a disco in the 80s. Just insane. I'm just savoring the moment because it is so beautiful, guys. So beautiful. The green, the pink, the blue. Everything about it is excellent. It's amazing, isn't it? Incredible. Really incredible. Wow. This is so cool. Can you believe this is real? Guys, how are our babies doing? Let's find out. First of all, some of the caterpillars are definitely in the mood to create cocoons, including this blue one that I just showed off. And they really like to make cocoons here in the kitchen paper and a paper towel on the bottom. There's actually new cocoons in it, which I will collect tomorrow. I'm gonna take this caterpillar and place it in here. It's going to find a place to make a cocoon. But how's the rest doing? How is the rest doing? Let's see, how can we film this, babes? Honey? You and me are married, I know. Anyway, as you can see, this camera always refuses to cooperate the way I want to. So there's a lot of caterpillars here. And there's a lot of silk. I don't know if you can see it, but there's these strings of silk everywhere. Which is a sign that the caterpillars are activating their silk glands and starting to spin. Here on top, one caterpillar has made a lot of silk. I think there's a few that are really in the mood to cocoon. As you can see, the rest of the caterpillars is growing just fine. They really like privet or ligastrum. It's one of their faves. So, also we have the black form caterpillar. He is a bit unusual, isn't he? He is black. So I only have one black one. But still growing quite well. He's getting very big, you know. Lots of caterpillars here. Let me show you. I found here between all the crawling caterpillars another one that's turning blue. So the blue on this individual is less intense, but it's still noticeable. See the blue? So this one is definitely gonna make a cocoon also. Sometimes the blue is really strong and sometimes it's very weak. Sometimes they don't become blue at all. Only some caterpillars do it. Not all of them. So it's possible that when you breed them, yours they don't turn blue before they cocoon, which may be disappointing. Because it's very pretty if it happens, but they are animals, so you never know what's actually going to happen. But yeah. Otherwise, as you can see, they've stripped multiple of the branches. They've completely stripped them of the leaves. There's no leaf left, so I'm gonna give them some fresh food. Wow, such a beautiful and underrated species, honestly. Really cool, really cool. Just look at it. It's insane, isn't it? Like, this species is just insane. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. I gave them a little bit of fresh food, and the rest of the caterpillars, I'm gently gonna try to put them back. They are so close to cocooning. I mean, the majority already is cocooning. Well, not the majority, but many of them are. This is going to be the tricky part. I don't want to hurt any of the caterpillars, but stashing this in the box, it's a bit awkward. There you go. Carefully, gently. Yep, it fits. You have to be careful because if you mash it in there, sometimes you end up hurting them or crushing them. We don't want that to happen. So there you go. Great. I, for one, am pretty confident that in a few days this thing is just gonna be full of cocoons. Great. Of course, we put them back. There you go. We put them back as usual. Same procedure. It's starting to pay off. We are at the finish line. Oh my god, I need a diet. I'm like Nicocado avocado, man. A few days later, we check back. Oh, it's cocoon time. Let's see how the suraka are doing. Oh geez. Oh geez. Fantastic. I, with my entomologist eye, a sussy bunch of paper. And I can recognize that the larvae have ripped this up and spun cocoons in it. Yep. How many cocoons this is right there. Let's open it up. So they do like to spin, like in nature they spin in leaf litter, I suspect. Because they crawl to the bottom of the container most of the time. Aha! So here we see the cocoon of Antherina suraka. This larva is pupating. What's really cool about the cocoon is it's kind of like a fish net. You know, it's very... The cocoons are transparent, kind of. Like you can literally see the larvae in it. They are not really... The silk is really thin and it has large holes in it. A lot of species in Madagascar do this for some reason. It must be the environment of Madagascar. Maybe they are ventilation holes or drainage holes for the excessive rain. I don't know. If you look at the Madagascar comet moth, for example, the cocoons are similar in a way that the cocoons have large holes in them, and so does the ghostly silk moth, another Madagascar endemic. They're all species I still need to film the life cycle of, so maybe you'll see the cocoons in the future. So it does seem we have one small cocoon and one large cocoon. It's hard to see it because they are covered with paper. So in nature they cover the cocoon with leaf litter. But yeah, this is cool. These are gonna pupate. They're in the process of pupating. So this is 2 cocoons. What I'm about to show you next may be the grossest thing you've seen in your life. Because this larva here seems to be leaking from its behind. What is this? Is it having diarrhea? Is it, did it eat Mexican food last night? Ew! This is called the gut purge. And not many people know this, but before caterpillars make cocoons, they get rid of excess moisture and excess food and digestive material in their gut. And what they do is really gross, but they spill it all out. This is the worst part of breeding moths, to be honest. It's kind of gross. I mean, it's awesome to rear caterpillars, but yeah, they're insects. Sometimes insects do really gross things. As you can see, this one has been diarrheaing down here all over the paper towel, as you can see. Like, this is an excessive amount of moisture and food particles that it's just purging from its body. And actually all species of moths and butterflies do this before they pupate. It's just that it's hard to capture it on camera because it's an event that only happens once for a short moment. But we have caught it in action. So this larva is gonna make a cocoon pretty soon. But before that it's gonna get rid of all the material in its gut. Because if it pupates, all that stuff will cause infections, you know. You don't want to become a pupa and still have material that's stuck in your digestive tract inside your body because it may rot or decay. and interfere with the process of pupating. It's kind of like how a lot of reptiles and amphibians stop eating before they hibernate. Because if they hibernate with food inside of their guts, it will cause infections, it will ferment or rot. Yep, so this larvae is leaking out of its behind, spilling a lot of... Sorry for this disgusting close-up. A lot of people are going to be repulsed by this probably. But hey, it's biology, right? We are interested in biology of insects on this channel, and it includes the cool and it also includes the gross things. So yeah. Ugh, that's gross and I have to clean this up later. Many of the caterpillars are making cocoons now. Actually, this is the larvae that was black. Do you remember the black one? I showed you that one before. It's the only one that we have that is this black. See the silk that it's spinning is already making a silk house for itself here behind some leaves. That's great. That is excellent. Building in progress. So, oops. Sorry, I'm trying to get the leaves away for a better shot. See that? He's making a cocoon. So this one is gonna turn into one giant moth soon. If we look around, we see more caterpillars making cocoons. Here in the back, for example, behind all the twigs. See this one? See this one? It's already turned blue, but see all the silk that it's spinning? It's trying to build a silk cocoon here in the back. So, yeah, we have at least 5 cocoons right now. And judging by their crazy blue colors, a lot of the caterpillars are just done. They're just fully grown. Some of them are still feeding at this point, but like it's over, it's almost over. These caterpillars, this is the maximum size really. They're not gonna go any bigger, they're going to make cocoons. There you go. Successful rearing once again. Let's see, this one is still eating, I guess. Oops, this one's still feeding. Nom nom nom, look at how fast it's eating. So I guess not all of them are fully grown, some of them are a bit slower, but yeah, within a few weeks. I feel like all of them are gonna spin their little cocoons. And then this part is over with. Alright guys, that was your daily dose of ew and gross. But cheer up. Within no time, they are going to be incredible moths. And it's going to be worth all the ews and all the gross stuff. I don't think it's that gross. It's a normal part of biology. Like the things that the average cat or dog does is still more gross than my insect. Insects aren't dirty, they aren't smelly. Depends on what insects you have and what they are feeding on, of course, but moths and butterflies are very clean creatures in a way. Very sensitive to bacteria. In fact, if you keep them in dirty conditions, they will die in captivity. So, as horrid as it looks like if you see a caterpillar pooping out massive amounts of slime. Have you seen the things that dogs do and dogs eat? I'm not even gonna say it. This is nothing in comparison to that. Yep. A few days later, we check back. Most of the babies are pupating. Now guys, breeding moths is hard work, man. It's labor. I'm working with my hands here. I'm no different from a farmer at the moment, or anybody who works with their hands. It's, in a way, it's craftsmanship, you know, feeding these caterpillars, creating the enclosures they're supposed to live in, feeding them every few days, getting up early to make a video of their development and growth. It's hard work, man. It's work that I'm doing. Appreciate it. Like, this is my business and this is my work. I'm proud of my work, but in a way, sometimes people say YouTube is easy, you know, like, oh, you're not a working man. Everybody can make a video on YouTube. Well, not when it comes to moths, man. That's really tough. Breeding these animals is hard work. And here we found another cocoon. It's spun here in the, like, within the paper towel here. It's even a bit shiny. Can you see it? Very shiny cocoon. Strange. Probably like silvery silk. Anyway, I'm gonna pull it out. If it's wanting to. Come on. There you go. Let's rip off this paper towel. It works. Okay, let's place them here for 1 second. I'll check back later, don't worry. At this point we don't have that many caterpillars left. Like, here we have some big ones, but it's finished. It's finished, guys. These are the last ones. I think we have 4 or 5 caterpillars left, to be honest. And we have like 12 cocoons or more. I don't know, like 15. I'll have to do a recount when all of them have cocoon. They say don't count your chickens before they hatch. I agree with that. And I will extend this saying and say don't count your cocoons before all your caterpillars pupated. Same principle. We have 4 left. If the last of these caterpillars cocoon, then I'm gonna count all my cocoons, see how many we have and how successful we've been. Yeah, but this is an easy species. We didn't have any significant losses. In my opinion, all has gone well. I'm happy. I'm satisfied. 10, baby. Same drill, baby. There we go. Oh yeah. Hoppa! Ah, yes. Goed zo, papa. Ga door. Zo, there you go. There you go. Put the lid on. Hello. Here we have the caterpillars. As you see, they're doing quite well. So now we check back a few days later. Give these new cocoons a new spot. That's right, boys and girls. Let's put them here and see what happens. A few days later, we check back. So guys, pretty much almost all my caterpillars are gone at this point, except for one individual. This larva has always struggled to grow. He's the final one left. After this I have no more caterpillars. So I'm kind of dismantling the cage. I think I'll keep the last caterpillar that I have in a smaller cage. Anyway, the mystery of the disappearing caterpillars is easily solved. Because here in the paper towel we see several cocoons. Beautiful and freshly spun. So we take those out. Guys, the caterpillars have entered the cocoon stage. Let me show you a small close-up of the cocoons by simply turning the camera around. Guys, we did it. The caterpillars have entered the cocoon stage. I feel like I should show you a small close-up of the cocoons by crawling behind the camera for a second. There you go. So these are the cocoons of Antherina suraka. Many of them have decided to use the paper towel to spin cocoons inside, as you can see. The cocoons are very porous. This is very typical for moths from Madagascar for some reason. But I noticed pretty much all of the silk moth species, all the emperor Saturnidae family moths from the island of Madagascar who spin cocoons from silk, have huge holes in the cocoons. This could have to do with the rainy season. Maybe it gets so extremely rainy that the water can clog up the cocoons. Maybe. And maybe it's an adaptation to survive the monsoon. Another thing is maybe it gets so hot that they need ventilation holes to prevent overheating. I do not know. This is just some random statements, guys. It would have to be researched by a scientist to be sure. This is just some theories. But I did notice many Madagascar species have cocoons with holes in them. And this could actually be a nice question to solve for somebody doing their thesis in entomology, doing entomological research. Why do the cocoons of moths from Madagascar always have holes in them in so many cases? I don't know, there's just something about Madagascar that makes this adaptation favorable. Now the caterpillars of this species seem to have two pupation strategies, because some of the caterpillars don't make any cocoons at all. And for Antherina suraka this is quite normal. Sometimes the caterpillars will just sit on the floor and pupate. Now I do not know if this is because in captivity, maybe sometimes they are disrupted or disturbed. Maybe in captivity they are so stressed that they don't want to make a cocoon. I do not know. I don't think so actually. I don't think stress has anything to do with it. I don't think my caterpillars were stressed. It's also possible that they just have two different pupation strategies. One group of caterpillar will make cocoons in the leaf litter or on the tree bark. Another group of caterpillars prefers kind of to burrow in the soil or deep in the leaf litter and pupate there without making a cocoon. Not making a cocoon can have an advantage because it means you're not using energy on creating silk, right? Silk is costly. I think it costs them a lot of nitrogen and proteins, if I'm not mistaken. My organic chemistry is a bit rusty. I should read up on that before making statements, but it could be an advantage to not make a cocoon. So some of the pupae that we have are basically caterpillars who just pupated on the floor. But we do have a lot of silk cocoons here. You can see that. I think the cocoons are pretty good quality. They look big. Although we do see some size variation here, I think. Yeah. I do have the feeling the moths will be nice and healthy and big, based on judging on the size of the pupae and the cocoons. How many do we have? I think we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We think we have close to 20 moths here, or more. So this is the part where they all cocooned, and the cocoon stage is a little bit boring. It's simply waiting. Keeping them on room temperature and waiting. It should only take a few months, but I'll show you how to take care of these wonderful little cocoons. So, you have raised your first moths to cocoon. How do we incubate the cocoons? It's very easy. You just keep them at room temperature. And what you need is an enclosure like this. This is called a pop-up cage. You can fold it. But most importantly, it's made from netting. This is really important. Netting is the perfect material for cocoons. The moths have to crawl up. They have to be able to climb and have grip. Don't use glass, don't use plastic. Next, here I have some of the cocoons that we raised. It's not really great to see it right now because indoors the lighting is a bit bad. But as you can see on the bottom I placed a towel. Yeah, the same towel you can use to dry yourself off after a shower. And I take the pupa and I place them in here in the cage. Do it just like that. There you go. And if you keep them warm on room temp for a few months, they will hatch. What you can do is you can keep them humid by spraying with water. There you go. The humidity can help them. If you are a newbie or a beginner, this is the perfect method to incubate them. You don't need to do much else, except wait. Now this can take a long time. Usually the moths, they come out in about a month or two. But I've seen them stay in the cocoon for like 8 months or longer for some reason. It seems intrinsically a bit unpredictable. But that's what you do. Now, I do want to say I am not going to use this method to incubate them, because I have a big professional enclosure. It's more than what most hobbyists can afford, but that's okay. It's because I am one of the biggest moth breeders on the internet. Does that sound arrogant to say this in a video? I mean, it's true, right? In terms of exposure, of how many people know me and have seen my channel, I think I am the #1 moth breeder on the internet right now. Maybe, yeah, I think so, really. Yeah. So there you go. And what you can do is you can wait. You can wait several months. I'm gonna put them in my enclosure, but this is an example of how you can hatch your cocoons. Now guys, I am a high-level moth breeder, so I have a really big enclosure in my house for moths. It's a bit excessive, but if you're a hobbyist, you don't need this much space. It's just because I'm breeding several species at once, I'm taking the hobby to an extreme. What you can do is you can put the cocoons. I will put mine down here. The surface is also towel and vermiculite that's mixed. I'll just keep them humid, and if I wait, the moths will come out eventually. Yep, I found some more recently spun cocoons. There you go. And then it is time! The moths came out, and my god, I was happy. I was so happy. Let me show you the moths. Gosh, it has finally happened. Our bullseye moths are officially coming out. Whoa, we have many of them on the same day. Here's one of them. Whoa, whoa, wow! If you make them angry, they do an awesome eye spot display. But there's more of them. Here in the corner is another one of them. But here's even more. We have 4 of them. That's amazing. Let's get them out of here into some sunlight so I can make nice close-ups and pictures. Special delivery service for the fans on YouTube of Bart Coppens. Guys, if I open this, will the moths fly away? The answer is no. First, let me show you a close-up of them, just to show you how gorgeous they are. Wow! That is just so spectacular, isn't it? Now guys, a lot of butterflies and moths, if you come too close to them, they will fly away. But this species doesn't, because they have beautiful eye spots on their wings, and if they feel threatened, they have this threat pose where they move these eyes, and this will intimidate predators like birds and small rodents so much that they will be really scared and run away. And this prevents the moths from being eaten. So basically this is a threat display with eye spots, and it's meant to intimidate us right now. Now it probably doesn't work on a human, because I only feel attracted to them right now, because they are just so gorgeous. But it explains why they are so chill right now and not flying away. They completely rely on their eye spots to do the work of scaring me away, instead of trying to run away from a predator. That being said, if you breed silk moths, I don't recommend that you bring them outside at all times. It's not always the smart thing to do. I'm a professional. Well, at least I like to consider myself one. I hope that's not arrogant to say, but I've literally raised hundreds of species. I know how to handle them in a way that does not make them fly away or anything. If you breed these species, do as I say, not as I do, I guess. Maybe that's hypocritical. But yeah, be careful. You don't want to introduce non-native species to the environment. That being said, the chance of these becoming invasive is 0%. They are from a tropical rainforest environment. And I am in Northern Europe, the Netherlands. They have 0 chance of survival here. The host plants aren't here. So the climate they need is not here, but anyway. So what's cool is you can, if you are gentle with them, you can pick them up really easy and put them on your finger. And this allows me to make a beautiful close-up right here. Now I'm a YouTuber who films moths for a living. That's what my whole channel is about. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. I literally have hundreds of videos like this one where I film the life cycles of the rarest and coolest moths in the world. And I like to have species that I can make awesome close-ups of to please my viewers. You know, I'm trying to make you guys happy. I'm trying to make my subscribers happy. As much as possible, as much as I can. Wow, look at those wings. That's so beautiful. The deep purple here is, wow. It's so gorgeous, guys. This is a really awesome insect. And they're very big and healthy, I can tell. Wow. Incredible. So guys, if you are a novice silk moth breeder and you have never raised this species yet, get to it. It's literally one of the most beautiful species you can get in captivity. And they're really beginner friendly, they're really easy to raise. For me it was basically no effort at all. Most of the animals survived and made it and became perfectly healthy adults. It's a very good species for beginners. And they are often sold in the pet trade. Of course, guys, make sure it's legal in your country to own exotic animals. Follow the law. I live in the Netherlands, Northern Europe. And in Europe the laws are very relaxed, but in some countries you need a permit to keep exotic species of moths. And if you do, make sure you don't get into legal trouble. I cannot recommend anyone break the law. So I always give this disclaimer because on my channel I promote breeding exotic animals, but we want it to be ethical and legal as much as possible. But wow, guys! And if you look closely, you can see a lot of variation. Actually, all my moths are quite similar, but there's also yellow forms of them and even dark ones. They can be gray to almost black. They can be brown. It looks like we have the kind of the sand-colored brownish form right now. And some of them have very white lines here on the forewings. Can you see that? That's gorgeous, that's beautiful. Maybe if we are lucky we'll get other color forms too. So this moth is very variable, but it's very hard to show all the variations in one video, I guess. If you raise some eggs of these moths, of course you don't get all the variations at once. This is probably our largest individual right here. Surprisingly, our largest one right now is a male. He's bigger than even all the females. This is actually a huge male. Wow, and look at the deep purple here on the hind wings. It's so beautiful. Of course, this varies too. Just compare it with this one. This one has more sandy colored hind wings, more pinkish than purple. One of my moths is getting a bit stressed, so I'm gonna put him away. Otherwise he'll fly away. Let's put him back in the cage. wish I could show you some better close-ups, but it's getting dark outside and it ruins the lighting on these videos. So let's try some more of them later. But here's one thing I can say, for a beginner species, this species is beautiful. Highly recommended for beginners. It's starting to get dark, so I have to place the moths in a position where they can mate tonight. So we're actually kind of lucky because we have 2 males and 2 females. And the ones who happen to have like the white stripes here on their forewings happen to be the females in this case. But it's hard to show you at this point because the lighting conditions are becoming bad for filming. But more importantly, these moths, they have to mate and make babies. So let's place them away. I will close the container. Here you go. And take it indoors and put it in a dark place at night. I'm afraid it's time for mating. Are you ready? Oh, I'm sure that you are. Everybody likes mating. Oh, I'm getting carried away. No, now let's be serious for a moment. I'm ruining the video with my attitude. If you want to pair moths, it can be very difficult in some cases. And on this channel we paired some species of moths that can be very difficult to pair, but I have good news for you. The Madagascar Bullseye moth, Antherina suraka, is a beginner species. So this species is very easy and they mate very easily. All you have to do is you have to take the moths and put them in a small enclosure made of netting, like a pop-up cage for example, or a net cage. And you put them in a dark place, preferably with a bit of airflow and warmth, and boom, the males and females will hook up tonight. Their abdomens will be linked together, and it's very visible if they're mating. Let me show you how that happened. Now guys, mating this species is very easy. And if you follow my channel and you're a fan of my channel and you see my videos, you will know that mating some species of moths in captivity is actually very hard. Not in this case. I'm pretty sure these moths, they will mate almost automatically as long as you put them in a dark and warm place. That's about it. And that's what we are going to do. I'm gonna put the light out, go away and check back tomorrow. Pretty sure they're gonna mate tonight. Alright folks, next morning, have our moths mated? Let's take a small look. Spoiler alert, of course. Now, Antherina suraka is one of those moths that are extremely easy to mate. Like if you have males and females, it's almost guaranteed that they will hook up. And that's what has happened, of course. So this is a male and a female who are mating. If their abdomens are attached like this, that's how you are sure that yes, they have done the love making last night. So the mating actually happens at night, but the male and female stay together until the next evening. So if we zoom out, then we will also notice that the second couple is also hooked up. So that's 2 matings. Now guys, this is what makes them a beginner species, really. Because some saturnids, some silk moths are hard to mate in captivity. It's different per species, right? You have easy species, you have beginner species, and you have difficult species. And when it comes to like mating them, this one is super easy. Raising them is also not very hard. So that's really what makes them a great beginner species. If you are new to raising moths and you want to try an exotic species, well, unless you live in Madagascar, then they are not exotic. But yeah, these are commonly sold and traded in the pet trade for this reason. They are just so easy to farm. And there's more news. More moths came out last night. Let me put them in the container and I'll just show you a quick video in a minute. Here we are, here are the moths, guys. And what's new is we have one of the yellow color forms. Can you see it? If you want to see the difference, let's just zoom out and look at the color of some of them. A few days later, we check back. Right folks, so yes, more moths have come out. Let me show you a sneak peek. Forgive me if there are some other species of moths here. Due to a lack of space, I had to mix them, but ta-da, here you go guys. Some more of the amazing bullseye. Now here's an African moon moth. It's a bit misplaced in this video, and also ignore the zigzag emperor moth, Imbrasia tyrea. But this is what we are all about in this video. The beautiful Madagascar bullseyes. As you can see, more of them have come out. We also have some lighter forms this time. They have the more like the sandy color, as you can see. So here's proof of the variation in color. I'll show you more later. For now they are just in here. And here, below the edge, there's even more moths coming out. Wow. That's cool, huh? Now I promise I'll show you even better and bigger close-ups later if more moths come out. For now it's just a small quick update, because more and more keep coming and coming. And if I make an update like this every day, the video is gonna be too long. But the biggest update is the fact they started laying eggs already. So I don't know if you can see it, but these tiny brown orbs that are sometimes neatly laid in rows here, but sometimes also individually, those are the eggs of the bullseye silkmoths. The mating and egg laying is very easy in captivity. You honestly don't need to do anything. Just keep the moths alive in an enclosure made from netting. That's it. They will automatically lay eggs, they will automatically mate. And since these moths don't feed, they don't have a functional mouth, they don't really need any care whatsoever, really. No maintenance whatsoever required. Now, with this video I hope to inspire more people to raise bullseye silkmoths. They make wonderful pets for a beginner. They're really easy to breed, really easy to farm. It's one of the easiest moths to get started with if you have a growing interest in insects. They are very beautiful, very variable, very nice caterpillars. And they're very big and easy to keep alive, really. Well, that's great. So more updates later. I'm gonna just keep them in this enclosure for a few days so they can mate and mate and mate and lay more eggs and more eggs. And I'll show you what to do with the eggs if they've mated. But so far, easy species. This moth right here is probably my favorite one that we raised so far. It's the prettiest individual I've seen. I don't know why, but I really like the yellow form more than the dark form. And this one is very yellow. It also has like the white lines on the forewings, and this is a very pretty one in my opinion. It's really a very big, gorgeous and impressive species, really. A very powerful insect that's very suitable for beginners who have a developing interest in moths. Would you just look at it? It's trying to hypnotize us right now. Oh, this species, I just go crazy for them. They are so beautiful. Wow. Madagascar Bullseye Silkmoth. Please remember the name. It's insane. So beautiful. Oh, I have to sneeze. I'm sorry. It happens. I'm human. Oh. Sneezing in summer, it must be the pollen. Don't worry, I don't have a pollen allergy, but sometimes, I don't know. Oh wow, that's embarrassing. Wow. If there's one thing I really like on moths, it's the eye spots. I don't know why, it's very appealing. It makes them cute. Not again. Oh. So cute. Wow. Yeah, but that wasn't all. I raised some more caterpillars. So I had just more and more moths coming out. Let me show you them. Now, to show you guys our breeding success, let me carefully open their container. Oh, is that not nice and beautiful? Here, ladies and gentlemen, are our amazing bullseye silkmoths. Is that not fantastic? Wow. That's beautiful, isn't it? Let me show you more. Good moment to show you all the variation and the differences we see in the moths. As you can see, there are differences in color. That's cool. It's not unusual for moths to have color forms. Some are brown, some are grey. Which ones do you guys think are the prettiest? Leave a comment. Now, unfortunately, if these moths grow older, they don't remain picture perfect. It's because as they start flying and such, the wings will damage a little and become less colorful. And bits and pieces are going to be missing eventually. That's the downside. We can see it in some of the moths I raised. This one, for example, is one of the older ones. Has managed to scrape some of the scales off. And there's chips missing from the wings. Now, this is normal if you raise silk moths in captivity. Over time they lose some of their beauty. And they will deteriorate fast. But that's okay. Beauty is ephemeral. It always has been. Most of the time. Natural beauty is ephemeral. So yeah, that's a good result, eh? And this is not even all the moths. I think some more will be coming out soon. The eggs of these moths are typically scattered all over their enclosure. So if we zoom in, it's all about these little brown orbs here that we have to collect, because these are gonna hatch into caterpillars pretty soon. And if this piece is so easy to breed, you can probably even make money if you dedicate yourself to raising a lot of them. I like to collect them here in this plastic container. I just scrape them off with my finger. I like to lay clumps of eggs on the cage walls, so I'm just collecting them all. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, the first eggs. Literally just harvested some. Now these eggs are gonna hatch in about 2 weeks on room temperature. It's just the first harvest. There's gonna be many more in the future. This is like literally the first eggs I collected. Must be over 100 already. But the females can live for about 2 weeks. And every day they're gonna be laying a little bit more eggs. So I wouldn't be surprised if soon I have over 1,000 eggs. And just some more specimens who have just come out. Oh, they are magnificent. And this one here is really big. Oh, just look at those variations. So beautiful. How can you not love this species? Wow, 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 wow. They are just so incredible. Wow, guys. I am the luckiest and happiest man on the planet right now. Just look at that. I'm talking as if I've been married for 20 years, but in reality I'm just holding some moths. I guess it's the same sensation to my brain. Okay, that's a very weird thing to say on YouTube, but oop, one fell to the floor. Let's pick it right back up. Don't worry, no, they don't escape. I know, my moths never escape. I know exactly how to handle them safely. I've been doing this for over 12 years. Wow, this is a really pretty one. This is a very light form. Can you see it? Very awesome. You gotta love it. Wow. Today we have been massively successful. Just look at how many. Ooh, that's my feet. Ooh, that's my feet. Ooh, OnlyFans. Oh, I can't stop focusing. Anyway, this is the situation with the moths. We are doing really well. Now, of course, breeding Antherina suraka is nothing worth bragging about. It's a beginner species, but I'm still proud, you know. I put work in it. I took care of the caterpillars for what felt like ages. In reality, it was 2 months. But that's still 2 months of my labor, 2 months of my effort to work, 2 months of my work, my passion. And just look at that. How many beautiful ones we have. That's crazy though. We do have one down here with an awkward wing. It's not our fault. It was born like that. Sometimes animals can have aberrations or malformations. It happens. If it's just one moth out of like 20, then it's okay. It's not our fault, you know. Sometimes one is just born with a disability. It just happens. I mean, hey, look at me. Terrible joke. Ooh, this one is nice. Wow, this one is almost orange. Can you see that? This one has like a rusty orange. They just keep getting more beautiful, really. I'm impressed. It's hard to see their face. It's very well hidden. And their cute orange legs. Oh, this is a really pretty color form. I like this one. Very orange. Then we collected more and more and more eggs. I'm gonna have hundreds of moths to raise. Oh, you're here! Why? What do you want from me? The moths! Oops. I could show you the moths, but actually I can't. There's a little problem. Let me show you. The problem. Here is the issue. Pretty much most of the moths are already dead at this point. Sometimes people ask me, hey Bart, do butterflies and moths, do they make great pets? And then people expect me to explain to them how they make wonderful pets, but that's not actually the answer that I give them. Usually I say no, they make terrible pets. And this is why. They only live for 2 weeks. And after that, this is what is left. If you don't believe me, let me show you what is left of some of these moths that we had just a few days ago. Of course. This is what it's turned into after a few days. The bullseye silkmoth does not feed, it does not have a functional mouth, it is physically incapable of eating. So after about 2 weeks they completely run out of energy and die. Also their wings shred. If a butterfly or moth is old, its wings are going to damage. And eventually you are left with some shredded, dead old moths. Ooh, that's ugly, isn't it? Yeah, this is all there is left of our pets. Some of them die in better conditions, some of them in a bad condition. I should put them in a frame or something. But that's it! They are freaking dead! Folks, and it's normal. There's nothing you can do about it at all, really. The cool thing about these insects is watching their transformation, watching their life cycle, watching their incredible beauty, and learning about them. That's the best part of this hobby. But the actual insects themselves, well, it's very... Beauty is an ephemeral thing. Let's put it like that. However, after the moths die, they usually leave behind a little gift. And they did leave something behind for me, a little present. Let me show you what that is. Hint, it's the eggs, of course, silly. So what is it that these moths indeed did leave behind? Why, it's eggs, of course. Tons and tons of eggs. I've shown you collecting the eggs before, I'm gonna do it again. Because, well, it starts and ends with the eggs, really, these life cycles. So, scraping them off here is probably not the coolest footage that you've ever seen. The thing is, the eggs are very tough, you can use your fingers to harvest them. That's good to know. There you go. Wow. I have a lot of eggs already. How about that? That's some crazy moth caviar, isn't it? There's gonna be hundreds of thousands of babies. Oops. And that's how the cycle of life perpetuates. Fascinating, isn't it? I love life cycles. Now, something that's really cool about this species are its variations. If you raise this moth, all the moths look different. Some of them are yellow, some of them are chocolate brown, some of them are grey. They can have really cool differences and accents. Some have thick white stripes on the wings, and others are a bit less conspicuous. And during the reading of this video, I also encountered a few genetic freaks. Well, that's a hyperbole. I did get a few very interesting variations and mutations. In fact, I got a few that were highly unusual that most people don't ever get in the hobby, including one with a very strange mosaic pattern. So let me show you that one, and another very strange aberration that I had. Now guys, during the making of this video, I've been really lucky with getting some crazy variations and mutations. And that's not just good news for me, it's also good news for you. Because it will make this MothCycles episode even more special. MothCycles is my most watched web series on this channel. It's like a mini series where we raise moths from egg to moth and complete the life cycle. And they already get a lot of views most of the time. My fans basically, this is the main content they come to my channel for. So if I have crazy variations to make the show even better, I'm gonna be real happy. Let me show you what's special about this one. Notice on how the hind wing, this specimen has a very strange mutation. On this side the eye spot is smaller than on the right wing. But as you can see, there is also a color disruption. Can you see it? Like where they're supposed to be purple, this moth has a streak of brown. And I think this is actually not. It's not damage. It's actually supposed to be there. It's a mutation. That's really weird, isn't it? That's so strange. I've never seen this before. I don't know why, but some of my moths during this life cycle are just very crazy looking. We had some really cool... That's because the species is so variable, sometimes you get very strange variations, you know, that you don't expect. Or mutations. So this is probably one of the weirdest ones that I've reared. Look at that. That's so weird, isn't it? That's so weird. All I know is not supposed to be like this. Wow. You have to really love this species, don't you? I love this silk moth. The bullseye silkmoth. They are such a beautiful, awesome species. And I'm happy I can show you some crazy variations. Wow. That's so weird. Now guys, one thing that's really cool about raising so many individuals of the same species that is variable is that you get crazy variations. Now here, this one is different than all the other moths. Can you see the difference? It seems to have a mutation with extra large eye spots. It's quite unusual. He's completely different from all the other moths. I think I'm gonna mate him with a female. See if I can preserve this this gene, this trait, this super large eye spot. If you skip ahead in the video or skip back in time, you can see that all the other moths look different. That's really cool though. It's the variation of this species that makes them so lovable. I've also been getting more moths of this form. It seems some of my moths have a mutation with bigger eye spots than usual. Sorry if it's a bit windy right now. I think it's beautiful, it's very gorgeous. See how big these eye spots are? And they're kind of evil looking because they have like this this elongated strange part on top. It's very atypical. It's very cool, really. And if you breed this species a lot, you can expect to have crazy mutations once in a while. They're just so variable that it just tends to happen, you know. Very beautiful. I think actually I'm going to breed this form. I'm going to do selective breeding to make the eye spots even bigger like this. Would be nice if we can see it in the next generation as well. That would be awesome. And that is why it's so cool to farm these species. You can breed them over and over and over, and each time you get something different. And that's really cool in my opinion. That's right. I'm gonna try and rear this weird form with the strange looking eyes. Maybe I'm gonna sell some eggs of them too, to distribute them to people in the hobby. So this mutation can be preserved, because it's really cool looking. Maybe this is the start of a new form of Antherina suraka in captivity. It could be. Start of the eye shade form. And now you're probably wondering, what happened with the eggs? Did they ever hatch? Ah, you probably aren't. Most people are skipping through this video. They aren't really engaged. They just want to see nice pictures of moths. Why the hell would you care? If you are somebody who's watching this whole video, you are something special, you are something else. Most people aren't that interested in moths, let alone watching a video about them that lasts for several hours. Yeah. You are the chosen one. If you enjoy this content, for which I'm happy, I'm working hard to entertain you. It's hard work to make these videos, I'm not joking. Yeah, but anyway, these eggs, they kept hatching and I just have to show it off. Guys, We did it! Today is a bit windy, so I have to talk louder because the wind tends to ruin my audio. But 2 weeks later I found this. Remember the eggs we collected? Ho ho ho! Insane amounts of babies are coming out. So we are going to have more moths than we started with, and that's the point, right? The point of breeding is to produce more. Look at that, and all the eggs are hatching. So that's another successful life cycle by the sexy moth king Bart Coppens himself. And we move on from species to species to species, every time breeding another one on YouTube. Sometimes successfully, sometimes unsuccessfully. But today it was a success, so I'm really happy. The babies are coming out. Oh yes. Remember all those extra eggs we collected? Yeah, they're hatching too. Oh yeah, babe, let me show you. So, this is gonna be a big problem actually. Considering the fact that there's hundreds of eggs in here, like I'm not even kidding, like literally hundreds, oh my god. And I'm gonna have so many babies, like these are just the first to come out. I'm gonna have literally hundreds of moths, uh-oh. This is gonna be, I have to do some serious breeding now to take care of all these freaking babies. Some of the moths are still coming out, but these are the last ones that I have. It's about to be finished, this episode. We're gonna miss these awesome creatures, aren't we? I'm sure gonna miss them. And that finally brings us to the end of this breeding project. And once again, we were successful! Woohoo! I just keep winning, don't I? Anyway, I want to say this. You're watching my web series called MothCycles. I made many episodes, over 30 episodes of this web series. In this web series we breed moths together. However, the reason why I keep animals is to learn from them. I don't want to promote keeping exotic pets just to show them off on Instagram for followers. Sure, I'm making videos and these videos gain me followers. Bart, why are you so hypocritical? Aha! That's because I like to make it educational and I like to educate you about the species we have been breeding. Because let me ask you, what's the point? What's the point of importing this animal from Madagascar just to stare at it because it's pretty and then move on? I mean, plenty of people do that, but that's not... It's such a waste. It's so much more fun and sustainable if you learn from it, if you learn from these insects and the environment. I think the exotic pet trade can be combined with environmentalism. If you do it legally and ethically, you don't keep protected or endangered species. You buy them in accordance with the law, and also you learn from them, you study them, you learn about the environment where they are from. And that's how you start caring about nature. That's certainly how I started when I was a young boy, breeding all these insects, and I started thinking, I started reading. And then I saw the connection. So now we are going to have the part where we do a little presentation about the biology of Antherina suraka, the Madagascar Bullseye Silkmoth. Let's start the presentation and let me teach you about her biology. Today we are going to discuss the Madagascar Bullseye Silkmoth, a very iconic insect that is beloved in the pet trade. This species, with its mesmerizing false eye spots and appearance, is absolutely worthy of having its own episode. Madagascar is unique in the world. It is an island with many endemic species of plants and animals that are found nowhere else in the world. To understand some of the species in Madagascar, we must analyze some of the geological history as well. First of all, Madagascar split off from the mainland in Africa as early as 160 million years ago. When this happened, many plants and animals who have ancestors on the mainland of Africa were geographically isolated. For millions of years, the landmass that is now Madagascar broke off from Africa. But it was stuck to the landmass that we nowadays call India. About 88 million years ago, Madagascar also split off from India. Madagascar has been on its own for the past 88 million years, giving the species here a lot of time to differentiate. The climate is tropical along the coast and a little bit more temperate inland, and arid and dry in the south with some desertification problems. The country has a narrow coastal plain, high plateau and mountains in the center. The red dots on this map indicate places where the moth, the Madagascar Bullseye or Antherina suraka, have been collected. Interestingly, it is found both in evergreen forest and in seasonal dry or sclerophyllous forest. This indicates that the species is at least a little bit adaptable or flexible when it comes to their habitat preference in Madagascar. Please note that these dots on the map are not 100% accurate when it comes to their complete distribution. These are just a few sites where they've been sampled. It appears that the species has 3 phenotypes. 2 of these phenotypes are found on Madagascar, and the third is a subspecies endemic to different islands. But first, let's focus on the mainland, the big island of Madagascar. There appears to be a distinction between the more humid and evergreen forests in the north of the island and the dry forests in the south of the island. On this map you're looking at right here, the dry forests are marked with yellow. Take that in for just a moment. That's right. The purple and green areas on the map represent the humid rainforest. In this case, purple is low altitude rainforest and green is high altitude rainforest. The small specimens in this image, specimens A, B and C, represent a distinct form that is only found in the dry forests of Madagascar. Antherina suraka, form australis. This form appears to be smaller in size. Perhaps it is an adaptation to different plants and a more dry, arid climate. And then there is the nominate form, Antherina suraka from suraka. The typical form or nominate form is restricted to the humid and evergreen forests of Madagascar, so it seems. So what about the last form? Where is it found? It's found nowhere. Nope, it is not found in Madagascar at all. Antherina suraka cormorana is an entirely different subspecies. Isn't that amazing? It is endemic to the Comoros Islands. These islands are sandwiched between the mainland in Africa and Madagascar itself. How this species managed to colonize these islands since ancient times is unknown to me personally, but it seems clear that the islands share some of their geographical history with Madagascar and the ancestral population of the bullseye silkmoth of Antherina suraka. As is visible in the image, it appears this subspecies has a larger wingspan and what seems to be smaller eye spots. Antherina suraka is a very polyphagous species. Polyphagous means it can eat many types of plants. Interestingly, in Madagascar it appears to have adapted itself to various species of non-native host plants too. First, we start with some of the most important native food plants in Madagascar. One is Maisa lanceolata, or the false assegai, from the Primulaceae family. This tree is both widespread in Madagascar and in the mainland of Africa, and a native food plant apparently for Antherina suraka. Another important native food plant from the Apocynaceae or dogbane and milkweed family is Mascarenhasia. Polischias from the Araliaceae or ivy family is another native food plant that the suraka silkmoth often uses in the wild. Another one? Alright. Isnolepis tuberosa, another wild Apocynaceae plant native to Madagascar. And then there is another one, Weinmannia, another important food plant for this silkmoth. Cunoniacea is an unusual family of plants. Another native plant? Alright, let's go. Another native important host plant from Madagascar is Eugenia, known as the white stopper tree from the Myrtaceae family. Yes, the same family of plants as the famous eucalyptus, for example. And then there are several more, most likely. The truth is, although this is a very important commercial insect to local communities, studies on the food plants of this species in the wild are a bit rare. But one thing is clear. They are rather open-minded when it comes to the kind of plants that they can use for their development. A major family of host plants appear to be the Apocynaceae plants. These are some of the most important plants that they use in the environment, but by no means do they exclusively rely on them. More ecological studies will reveal more native host plants in the future, I'm very sure. The species has also quote-unquote adapted to use many non-native food plants. Well, perhaps it has never really adapted to them, perhaps it was always able to feed on them. Why certain moths are more polyphagous than others and why certain species are able to eat way more plants that are alien to their environment is partially a mystery, although caterpillars do rely on chemical cues when it comes to finding food. If these chemical cues have a broader spectrum, perhaps their diet in the wild is also more broad spectrum because they are a generalist and they will be more willing to feed on introduced or non-native food plants. And of course, introduced food plants can resemble native plants. Take oleander for example, it resembles some of the wild Apocynaceae plants that they feed on in the wild. Perhaps, both nutritionally and chemically. The fact it resembles their native food makes it easy to make the switch. Madagascar Bullseye moth has also been reared in captivity on many plants that are not native to their environment. These include species of cherry or prunus, Nerium oleander or oleander, liquid amber or sweet gum, Ligustrum or privet, Salix or willow, Mangifera indica or mangoes, lychee, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. In reality, there's dozens or even hundreds of non-native plants that the caterpillars can eat and complete their development on. People have even raised them on lonicera or honeysuckle, eucalyptus, apple, pear, hawthorn and many more. Very important information to add here, however, is that this species in the wild still relies on its native food plants to survive, and these introduced food plants don't really seem to sustain the wild populations. Interestingly, I don't have too much data on their flight time in the wild, but presumably they are seasonal in the dry forest in the south of Madagascar, where they could be more restricted to the monsoon seasons, and presumably they are continuously brooded in the more humid rainforests that are evergreen. This more or less means that they can keep producing new generations indefinitely in humid conditions, but they can diapause in dry conditions. Of course, this is a little bit of a conjecture, based on the limited information I could find online. So take it with a grain of salt, but it does make sense to think that populations in dry environments are more seasonal than the ones in permanently humid forests. And apparently the silk of this species has some economic value. The moths can be farmed in Madagascar for the production of silk. Perhaps a form of indigenous silk farming. Madagascar has a lot of endemic species with silk with unique properties. These natural resources are extremely important. Madagascar is among the poorest countries that are not involved in ongoing conflict or affected by political violence in the world. An astronomical 75% of its 29 million people are living in poverty. Deforestation is occurring on a large scale because people are desperate for firewood or simply to create new pastures. Silk farming could be a more sustainable alternative to cutting trees, and is a way to make money that relies on preserving the environment instead of destroying it, perhaps. These moths are so easy to breed, so beautiful and so beginner-friendly but in the United States and in Europe, they are often exchanged in the pet trade. If you have never reared exotic silk moths before, this is a great species to get started with. A number of people in Madagascar farm them and legally export the cocoons. But within the United States and Europe, people also freely trade eggs and cocoons of this marvelous species. Usually I do not reveal the places where I buy my moths to my viewers. I'm a little bit secretive about it, but in this video I'm going to be open about it for the first time. I recommend the websites Time to Breed, butterflypupa.com, InsectNet, Classifieds, and of course the website actias.de. Actias.de is the largest marketplace for butterflies and moths in the world, but you do need to register an account to find the marketplace. If you don't make an account, it's not possible to order on Actias. You need to make an account first and wait for the moderators to approve it. And then you can order the species that you like online. Make sure to comply with the law if you import, breed or obtain exotic insects. Madagascar itself, unfortunately, is not doing so well. Thankfully, Antherina suraka is still a common and widespread species. But the forests that these moths rely on are still suffering. The primary cause for deforestation in Madagascar is the slash and burn practice for pasture and agriculture. Although the exact extent of forest loss is not known with certainty, only 10% of Madagascar's forests remain. Also, estimates suggest that 1 to 2% of Madagascar's remaining forests are destroyed each year. There is no evidence to suggest that the Madagascar bullseye moth is endangered. It seems to be stable and doing relatively well, at least from what we can see using the limited data we have available. However, as a forest species, its future is still uncertain. Rapid population growth is increasing demand for land and natural resources, while environmental degradation, largely stemming from slash and burn agriculture, fuel wood collection and unsustainable harvesting of wildlife is destroying biodiversity resources and rendering many areas useless and unproductive. To make it even worse, Madagascar is home to many unusual, special or rare species of butterflies and moths that are found nowhere else in the world. And their future is not certain if we keep destroying the forest at these rates. They need our help. I'm going to be honest, but the environment in Madagascar is getting fucked sideways. I'm sorry for using this kind of language, but it's true, and the situation is a little bit sad. Some of the famous species only found in Madagascar are, for example, the ghostly silkmoth, or Kerantia apollina, but also Argema mittii, the Madagascar comet moth, Chryseridia ripheus, the sunset moth, or how about the giant Madagascar swallowtail, Pharmacophagus antenor, that is essentially a birdwing butterfly. Of course, this list of insects is very cherry-picked. The truth is there are thousands of species on Madagascar found nowhere else in the world, including species that haven't even been named to science yet. That are probably going extinct before scientists have a chance of discovering them. There are many causes for this crisis. Corruption is one of the biggest threats to Madagascar's iconic species and habitats. It facilitates the trafficking of the country's precious hardwoods to China and the Middle East. Areas in and around protected areas are being destroyed for illegal mining activities. This benefits very few people and does not contribute to local development, as even the miners come from somewhere else. This has serious and irreversible impacts on Madagascar's wildlife. A radical change is needed. Madagascar suffers from chronic poverty. More than 75% of the population lives in extreme poverty, and nearly 50% of the children under the age of 5 are chronically malnourished. These levels of poverty make conservation extremely challenging. For example, stopping people from converting forests to farmland to feed themselves does come at a local cost. It's important for conservation to contribute to making things better for people and not get in the way for development as well. Perhaps it would be possible to encourage local tourism so the natural reserves can be exploited for money in a way that doesn't destroy them in the end. It's a better alternative than chopping them down. Last but not least, many people in Madagascar rely on charcoal, and forests are slashed and burned to convert them into usable charcoal. Providing infrastructure and electricity to the local population will give them alternatives for deforestation. A variety of conservation efforts have been made and are still being made on the island to address these threats and protect Madagascar's unique biodiversity. Protected areas, reforestation programs and community conservation initiatives are examples of these efforts. It also helps to talk about these issues to spread awareness for them. Hey, if I was rich enough, I would go out there and restore the forest myself. But I'm only a small, powerless and broke YouTuber with middle-class parents. So the least thing I can do is to complain about the issue on YouTube, hoping more powerful people notice. Well, that's assuming powerful people watch my videos in the first place. Who knows? Any billionaires interested in moths? Here are some of the sources that I used for the things I have discussed and shown in this video. Feel free to check them out. Don't be shy, get educated. And of course, there is my YouTube channel. One of the biggest channels on the internet about the biology, the life cycles and conservation of moths and butterflies. You are watching and sharing this video would help extremely much. More about that right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. I am eternally grateful for your views, your likes and your interest. I owe you the world. Really, it's because of you that I became a successful YouTuber and that I get massive opportunities in my life that allow me to do what I love the most, which is talking about insects. And even make a small living from it. But not everybody is happy about this. Sometimes I still get unbelievers, sometimes I still get haters. And what do the haters say? They say, Bart, why are you locking these animals up in cages? Isn't that cruel? Shouldn't they be free, flying around in the wild? Moths and butterflies don't belong in captivity, that's horrible content. Why are you putting them in polystyrene enclosures? Well, let me tell you something. Insects are doing pretty badly worldwide. I think about a third of all species is declining in numbers. And I don't know how many of them are endangered, but it's a lot of them. Just from my experience in my country alone, there's dozens of butterflies that have gone extinct from my home country, the Netherlands. So how does breeding come into this? Well, first of all, one problem with conserving butterflies and moths is that their life stages and ecology is poorly understood. We don't really know that much about it. And by breeding these insects in captivity, we can document their life cycles and their ecology and faunistics. And if you don't believe me, let me show you one of the best books that has been made about silk moths. It's not necessarily a scientific work, but it illustrates my point fantastically. So I'm gonna stand behind the camera while you go sit here and watch this. So this book, it's a great book, I recommend it, has the life cycles of many species of silk moths, like this one. And it also includes the development, the life history of the moth, growing up from egg into a fully grown moth. And as you can see, this book has this information for literally hundreds of species. So, wow, take a look at that. What a fantastic book. When I see these moths, my brain keeps thinking, oh my god, I must breed these. I have to breed these species myself in captivity. They are so wonderful, you know? And you could say, well, isn't that just you trying to covet nature? Well, maybe. Just like how people have the urge to grow beautiful flowers, humans always want to covet nature. But I think it's fine, as long as you learn something from it. And this book is mostly written by hobbyists. I'm pretty sure some of these people are also biologists, but even if they are, essentially they're doing the same thing as me in this video. They are raising moths in captivity and documenting all the information about them. And let me tell you something. There's a lot of species of butterflies and moths in this world, of which we only understand the life cycle because of people like me. And it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but that's not the point. What I'm trying to say is, you, not me, but you can make a difference too. Now, the species we raised today in this video, Antherina suraka, the Madagascar Bullseye, is very well studied. Many people, hundreds of people are breeding them every year. They're very popular in the pet trade. So maybe in this instance it isn't that important, because the animal is understood pretty well, at least its life history is. I'm not so sure about the ecology in the wild, but the developmental stages are well known. But it's like a gateway. You start with the easy to breed species. If you want to raise butterflies and moths, you don't start with the most difficult ones. That is just frustrating. It's like learning to drive a car in a Ferrari, okay? It doesn't work. You have to start at the bottom. And when I was a young boy, it was these kind of things that got me interested in the environment and in insects. So yes, if you're watching this video and you're still not completely convinced, is this okay? Yes, it's fantastic. If more people cared about butterflies and moths and started breeding them in captivity, I think we would have a better world. Now that sounds a bit extreme. Are butterflies and moths really that important? Okay, I understand there's different things in society. There's war, there's poverty. Moths are not number one on the list of political issues, but the environment is a very big issue. And one problem with the environment is not only our inability to conserve it and the fact that we don't care about it, but also the fact that we don't understand it and many elements of the environment. That includes plants and animals that are less understood because maybe they don't seem that obviously useful to us. Yeah? If an animal is useful to us, like a cow, or a crop like a potato, oh yeah, we will be crazy about it. We will cultivate them and study them. But if it's not useful like a moth, well, I'd argue moths are very useful, but it's not obvious to us humans. Developing this kind of interest actually makes it more clear that these animals also have their role to play in the environment. And therefore I will say to everybody watching this video who wants to start breeding moths, and you're not sure if you want to get started, this is your cue, this is your sign, this is the universe telling you to get started right now. Because we need more people in this hobby, we need more people interested in insects. And last but not least, I am a YouTuber who films butterflies and moths. I have one of the biggest and probably the best YouTube channel about butterflies and moths. Sounds arrogant, I know, but take a look at the competition, okay? There's a difference. Yeah, I said it. I don't care if it makes you mad. But my point is, it's not always easy to market and promote a subject like this. Not that many people are interested in butterflies and moths. Most people don't care or are indifferent about it. And then there is another issue. It's not the fact that it's hard to grow this channel, but it's also hard to keep making content. You see, I am a very prolific YouTuber. I've made over 1,500 videos. I think I'm close to 1,700 videos at the moment. It's because I'm a little bit crazy. I'm very sick. I'm a sick man. I can't stop. But it's also hard because YouTube is making my life more difficult. You see, my YouTube channel is completely and permanently demonetized. That means if my videos get views, if I get followers and subscribers, if people click on my video and they watch it, I don't make any money from it. YouTube is not supporting this channel. I make $0 from YouTube. They are not paying me to do this. I also don't have any support from any company that sponsors me. It's just me. It's just only me doing this alone. I'm mostly paying for it myself. But there's one big exception. I have very loyal and generous fans and viewers, and yes, this is where I'm going to ask or mention it, but I have something called crowdfunding. Yes, every month on the crowdfunding website Patreon, for example, people donate money to my channel. What they do is they buy a subscription. And before this video truly ends, I want to say, if you see value in this content and what I do, and if you are willing and able to afford it, consider donating to my channel. Consider buying a subscription on Patreon. There are also other ways to help. But it helps me tremendously because I am just one guy in my backyard making thousands of videos on a regular basis, and I love doing it. It's the passion of my life. But man, is it difficult sometimes to make this much content and not get paid for it. The world doesn't revolve around money. I don't really care about money that much, but it helps if my time is compensated for. If I can afford to get a new camera, or a new rare species of moth or butterfly, or the equipment to breed them. Or how about the free time that I spent making these videos? It's several days of work per month, and it's nice if those time and resources are compensated for. But of course I am not entitled. I will never say people have to donate. It's completely optional. If you don't, I respect you. I'm happy with all the views, all the shares, all the likes. So, and I know some people cannot afford it, okay, and that's fine. Help yourself, please, before you help others, especially a random guy on YouTube. But if you are as passionate about moths as I am, and you think, wow, I'd like to see more videos from this guy, hey, you have the power to make that happen. And of course, if you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Because sometimes when we reach a certain goal on Patreon, I make a special video in return. And at the moment we are very close to 2 goals. One of them is a video about a very special silk moth from Europe, called the autumn emperor moth. Let me show you this goal. Hey, you pay attention, because if we hit the goal of $475 per month, I will personally breed and film the life cycle of a really legendary moth species that is rarely ever raised by any other breeder. It is called the autumn emperor moth, and it's a really special forgotten moth species from Europe. If we can hit the goal on Patreon, I will attempt to breed them and document their life cycle. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. It's gonna be real special. They are a forgotten and beautiful species that people somehow forgot exists in the first place. It gets very little attention. They have an incredible pastel pink and yellow color. But we'll only make the video once we reach the tips goal in crowdfunding, just to motivate my viewers and fans. See it as a reward for when we finally hit the goals. And another one is a classic that people have been asking for years. It's Saturnia pavonia, the small emperor moth. If we hit on Patreon the tips goal, then I am going to make this video and to breed this species for you. But only if we reach the goal. This way I can keep people motivated to join my Patreon, and we both benefit from each other. I make special things for you to enjoy, and you help me. Win-win. There is another reward coming up. Currently, the crowdfunding is at $485 per month. That's a good target for me. If we make it, then as a reward, I will also make a brand new episode of MothCycles, featuring the all-time classic insect, Saturnia pavonia, the small emperor moth. This is one of the most iconic and classic species of silk moth in existence from Europe. In fact, many locations in Northern Europe, this little moth is the only species of wild silk moth that you can encounter. They are not so hard to breed, but breeding them does take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and at the end of the day, hard work. And in return, there's one thing you can do. Join my Patreon and consider buying a subscription to my channel. Every dollar helps me, every dollar counts. Every dollar gives me some more free time to make more videos, and every dollar increases the crowdfunding goal that I have in mind. And if you are not a fan of Patreon, which I understand, not everybody wants to buy a subscription, I also have a web shop, a web store since recently on Etsy, where I sell some things that I made myself by hand, like framed butterflies and moths. No, I didn't kill them, I only use ones that die from old age. And on top of that, I also send people handwritten letters and cards, so if you want to have a personal postcard or letter from me, check out my Etsy. I do have to say there is limited availability. Sometimes I'm traveling, sometimes I'm studying, so you have to check if these things are available in the store. Of course it can fluctuate, but check it out and let me show you. Hey, I breed a lot of moths in captivity, and sometimes they die in a good condition, naturally. And when that happens, I will pin them, dry them, taxidermy them and frame them. And people can now buy framed moths from my webshop. If you want to own moths that I personally raised, it is now possible to do so. And keep in mind that the framed moths that I sell on Etsy tend to sell out pretty fast. So make sure to check the supply and the offers. I post new ones for sale every few weeks, although they do tend to sell out immediately as soon as I put them for sale. Keep in mind, I tend to use moths that died after they lived a long lifespan, and I am not killing moths to make these kind of things. So it's also a form of ethical decoration. And most of these are the same specimens that I have reared in my videos. You can literally see me raise them on YouTube. And of course on my Etsy there are some other items that are available. Some of them are print on demand, but I designed them myself using my own photos, my own photography of moths. Let me show you those. On top of that, I also make stickers, cards, posters and merchandise with my own photographs of moths. Sometimes I even offer handwritten letters to fans. I also make some silly gag items that are available from time to time, and print-on-demand items such as stickers. But some of them are really personal, and you can order a handwritten letter or card from me. And if you buy something from my Etsy, the money will help me sustain my channel, so that I can make more videos for your entertainment. Check out the link to my Etsy below, so you can buy some of the things that I make. And when you buy them, you're also supporting my channel a little bit. That was all, ladies and gentlemen. That was all. And now I'm going to play the credits. The credits are the names of all the people who donated to my channel on Patreon. And at the end of the credits, maybe I'll show you a little teaser. Ladies and gentlemen, the African moon moth, Argema mimosa, is a very special species of insect. And many people have asked me the question over the years, Bart Coppens, is it possible to raise these beautiful insects in captivity? That's a very good question. And today is the day that I am going to try in a brand new episode of MothCycles. MothCycles is my online web series in which we raise moths from egg to adult. Or at least we attempt and see how it goes. You're watching a brand new episode about the African moon moth. Let's start the intro. How to breed the African moon moth. Let's go.